Hey, Western Nights friends and family. I'm sure you could guess this, but I'm into the Christmas spirit. I'm pumped that it is December and now all the Christmas spirit is around. You see it in the decorations. We spend some time putting lights up on our house. You see it as you drive down the road and you have the music playing. And I love the Christmas music. I love the Christmas season. I love the atmosphere. I love the joy that it brings. There are so many rich memories that I have of this, and so many traditions as well. I don't know about you, but I'm going to take a wild guess that one of the traditions that you have is to put up the Christmas tree. Now, we don't really know when this tradition started. There's debate among people about, was it here, was it there, was it this year or another year when the Christmas tree tradition really started. But what we do know now is that most people have a Christmas tree. And we decorate it and we do the different things. I grew up with one of those pretty good sized artificial trees. And so part of our tradition was to go and get the boxes and bring the boxes out, and you put the stand out there and then you try to figure out which branches go where, and then you try to bend these wires to where the tree looks pretty full. And if you know much about me, I'm a perfectionist. And so I step back and I bend this branch over here a little bit more and bend this one over here a little bit more, and to where whenever I step back and look at it, I'm like, yes, that is a perfect tree. When I married Katie, we got into a little debate because I grew up with an artificial tree of perfection. And she liked what she calls a live tree. Now, I debate with that because once you cut it down, it's not live anymore, so it's a dying tree. So she grew up with a dying tree. As you can imagine with this debate, who won out? My wife. And I'm not upset about this. That first time we had a dying tree, that smell was just fantastic. Maybe a little overwhelming, but it was fantastic. And then I got to enjoy the process of getting a live dying tree. See, sometimes, some years we would have to go and just buy one pre-cut, but most years we've had the opportunity to go to a tree farm and go cut down one for ourselves. And this has been a great tradition in my family. We have really enjoyed this process because it's that here there's not tons of choices. In fact, a few of the tree farms have shut down. And so when we got to our place where we typically go, it was slim pickings of trees, because we were a little late in the process. But that didn't mean that, because we're not looking for perfection, so it didn't mean that we couldn't find a tree. It just meant that we're going to find an interesting tree. Past 2 years, I can say we found some pretty interesting trees. Last year's tree, it had scoliosis. I mean, just the stalk of it just had a weird S, and it was so strange that it stood straight and it was beautiful. So this year we're like, you know what? Let's find our tree. We looked around, and then it didn't take us very long because there weren't many trees, but we see one. And no, it's not as tall as ones we've had in the past. No, it's not quite as full or as what some might say pretty as ones we've had in the past. It was even growing on the side of a hill, so it had a curve already in its trunk. Yet it was us. The whole family agreed, and so I go to cut it down. We get it to our house and we try to get it in the base where it looks decently straight, and that's a task in and of itself. But we get it there, and even if you walk around it may not be exactly perfect. And as you get lights in it, you see, man, there's a whole bunch of holes in this tree. But soon after, we get the decorations on there. We start putting the ornaments, and we find out that, ooh, this ornament fits in this hole perfectly. And when you're done, you back away, and you think, man, this is our tree. Even with all the imperfections, even without it being symmetrical or with all the beauty that some other trees have, this is ours. I wonder if that's how God feels about us. In the book of Psalms, we see the psalmist say that you knit me in my inmost being. You knit me in my mother's womb. You put me together. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. See, a lot of times what we do when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we see all the imperfections. We see all the places where we're not as full as we need to be. We're not as beautiful as others might be. We're not as tall or as short or whatever it is that we think is the model of perfection. And we criticize often. And I wonder if God is looking at us saying, I made you. You have a purpose. You are mine. And in my house, you have a place, and it is wonderful. Maybe that's a message that we need to hear, that this Christmas tree can teach us. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the most beautiful. You don't have to be the most full. You don't have to have your whole act together and stand up straight. You can still do the job that God desired. And you can still be beautiful in His sight and in so many others. That to me is the joy of the season and the joy of the Christmas tree and the joy of being a child of God. So may you be blessed. May you recognize that God has created you, uniquely you, to be a blessing. Hope you all have a great week. Love you guys. See you next time.